get it. Planet Standard.
Throughout history, few celestial bodies have inspired as much intrigue, fear, and reverence as Saturn. This ringed planet, the sixth from the Sun, is not only a marvel of the natural world, but also a central figure in ancient myths and occult traditions. Throughout history, Saturn has been associated with time, death, and the inevitable decay that comes with both.
I always wondered why Sega named their first system the Sega Saturn. I always wondered about that. Never got an answer to it. They had Saturn and they had Genesis. Never understood that one.
Today, we explore the enigmatic history of the Cult of Saturn, an ancient belief system that has left its mark on various religions and cultures. We will delve into the origins of this cult, its symbolic connections to the hexagon found on Saturn's North Pole, and how these symbols have permeated human consciousness and belief systems across millennia. The origins and evolution of the Cult of Saturn. The Cult of Saturn is one of the most enigmatic and oldest belief systems known to humanity. Saturn, known as Kronos in Greek mythology, was the god of time, often depicted as an old man with a sickle, symbolizing the harvest and the inevitable passage of time. Kronos, a titan, was also the god of agriculture, a reminder of the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth. His reign was considered the Golden Age, a time of abundance and peace. But it was also marked by the darker aspect of time, the inevitable decay and destruction that follows creation. However, the worship of Saturn predates even the Greek and Roman civilization.
That's the whole thing, is like, you can have times of suffering and you can have times of, good things happening, like times of abundance. But like any time of abundance, suffering has to come after it, because the only reason you have a concept of what abundance and happiness and joy is because of suffering. That's deep.
Scholars suggest that the roots of the Saturnian cult can be traced back to early Mesopotamian and Sumerian cultures, where Saturn was linked to deities such as Enlil, the god of wind, air, earth, and storms. Enlil, much like Saturn, was a god of great power, both feared and revered.
I actually did a video on this guy, and I still need to do a video on Inky, but I couldn't get into that because I started reading up on the relationship between Inky and Thoth, and there was just too much information on Thoth. So I'm still going to do that video, but I've been slacking on it.
He was seen as a creator, but also a destroyer, capable of bringing life, but also death through his wrath. This duality, creation and destruction, life and death, became a central theme in the worship of Saturn across different cultures. In ancient Egypt, Saturn was associated with the god Osiris, the lord of the underworld, who also embodied the themes of death and resurrection. Osiris, much like Saturn, was a complex deity, representing the cycle of life and the eternal struggle between order and chaos. The Egyptians saw the passage of time as a cycle, with death being a necessary step for the rebirth of the soul, a belief that resonated deeply with the worship of Saturn. As human civilizations evolved, so did the worship of Saturn. In Rome, Saturn was celebrated during the festival of Saturnalia, a week-long period of revelry, role reversals, and the suspension of societal norms. This festival, held in December, became the precursor to many modern celebrations, including Christmas. During Saturnalia, the social order was upended. Slaves were treated as equals to their masters, gifts were exchanged, and a spirit of equality and community prevailed, echoing the golden age of Saturn's rule. Yet, the darker aspects of Saturn were never far from the surface. As the god of time, Saturn was also the devourer of all things, including his own children, as depicted in the myth where Kronos eats his offspring to prevent them from usurping his throne. This act of devouring symbolizes the inescapable nature of time, which consumes everything in its path, leading to the eventual end of all things. Saturn as the dark sun. One of the more esoteric and intriguing aspects of the Saturnian mythos is the idea that Saturn was once a dark sun, a primordial star that was the original source of light for our planet. This concept, rooted in alternative cosmology, posits that before the current solar system configuration, Saturn was a central sun around which Earth and other planets orbited. This period, often referred to as the purple dawn of creation, is said to have been a time of great tranquility, where the Earth was bathed in the dim, purplish light of Saturn.
Wow.
According to this hypothesis, Saturn was a brown dwarf star that emitted a soft, diffuse light, creating an environment vastly different from the one we know today.
You know what's interesting about that? That's almost like a solar eclipse.
The sky was not the bright blue we see now, but a deep, purplish hue, with Saturn looming large as a constant presence in the sky.
That sounds amazing.
This era, shrouded in myth and speculation, is thought to have ended when Saturn was pulled into the current solar system's heliocentric orbit, where it was demoted from a star to a planet. This cataclysmic event is said to have caused massive upheavals on Earth, including floods, earthquakes, and other natural disasters, which were recorded in the myths and legends of ancient cultures. The displacement of Saturn from its central position to the outer reaches of the solar system marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new one, an era dominated by the sun as we know it today. This theory, while not widely accepted in mainstream science, has found a place in the realm of esoteric thought and alternative history. It suggests that the ancient worship of Saturn as the dark sun or black sun is a remembrance of this lost era.
Now, my only question about that is, how does a sun, right, turn into a planet? That I don't understand how that happens. I thought the only way a sun could evolve was into like a black hole. But apparently it can harden and turn into a planet. Okay.
When Saturn was the ruler of the skies and the bringer of life. The mysterious hexagon of Saturn. Perhaps the most intriguing and mysterious feature of Saturn is the massive hexagon-shaped storm at its North Pole. Discovered by the Voyager spacecraft in the 1980s and later observed in greater detail by the Cassini mission, this hexagon is a cloud pattern approximately 20,000 miles wide, with each side roughly the same length as Earth's diameter. The persistence and symmetry of this structure have puzzled scientists and sparked the imagination of mystics and occultists alike. From a scientific perspective, the hexagon is believed to be a result of atmospheric dynamics unique to Saturn. The planet's rapid rotation, combined with its complex weather patterns, creates a standing wave in the atmosphere, forming the hexagonal shape. Despite this explanation, the hexagon's perfect symmetry and its continuous presence for decades, if not centuries, have led many to believe that there is more to this phenomenon than meets the eye. In the realm of sacred geometry, the hexagon holds profound significance. It is a symbol of harmony, balance, and the underlying order of the universe. The hexagon is found throughout nature, in everything from honeycombs to crystals, and is associated with the number 6, a number that represents creation, structure, and the cosmic order. The hexagon is also linked to the Star
I was
of
going to
David,
say that.
a symbol that holds deep religious and cultural significance in Judaism and is connected to the notion of divine protection and unity. The appearance of the hexagon on Saturn has led some to speculate that it is a manifestation of the planet's deeper connection to cosmic laws and sacred geometry. It is seen as a symbol of the hidden order of the universe, a glimpse into the mysterious forces that govern the cosmos. For those who delve into the esoteric, the hexagon on Saturn is not just a weather pattern, it is a sign, a marker of Saturn's role as a keeper of time and a gateway to other dimensions.
Wow.
Saturn's influence on religions and cultures. The influence of Saturn and the symbolism associated with it extends far beyond the ancient myths.
I know that Saturday was named after Saturn, and I think it's really interesting that that's the best day of the week. It's the best day of the week, you know. But then there's the whole thing. I wonder if he's going to go into like the relationship between Satan and Saturn, because that's the same thing too.
Over time,
Like, I know it
Saturn's
is.
symbols have permeated various religious and cultural practices, often in ways that are subtle and hidden in plain sight. One of the most pervasive symbols associated with Saturn is the black cube, a geometric shape that has appeared in religious and esoteric contexts throughout history. In Judaism, the tefillin, small black boxes containing verses from the Torah, are worn on the head and arm during prayer. These boxes are cube-shaped and are seen as a physical manifestation of the spiritual connection between the individual and the divine. The tefillin symbolize the binding of the individual to God's commandments, representing the unity and wholeness of the divine law. In Islam, the most sacred site is the Kaaba in Mecca, a large black cube around which Muslims perform the tawaf, or circumambulation, during the Hajj pilgrimage. The Kaaba is the focal point of Muslim prayer and is considered the house of God.
Wow.
The act of circumambulation, where pilgrims walk around the Kaaba 7 times, is seen by some as a reflection of the orbital patterns of the planets, particularly Saturn, with its prominent rings. This association of Saturn with the black cube.
So are Muslims just worshiping Saturn? I know they don't have like idol worship, but like, do they worship the concept of Saturn? I find it really interesting that they do that. I didn't know they did that.
And the number 7, found in the 7 rings of Saturn and the 7 circumambulations, suggests a deep, symbolic connection between the physical structure of the Kaaba and the esoteric significance of Saturn. The black cube, in this context, represents the material world, the physical realm governed by time, space, and the laws of nature, domains traditionally ruled by Saturn. In Christianity, the day of worship, Saturday, is derived from Saturn's day, a day associated with rest, reflection, and the passage of time. The connection between Saturn and the concept of time is also evident in the figure of Father Time, often depicted with a scythe, an attribute of Saturn as the harvester, and the hourglass, a symbol of the inevitable flow of time. The influence of Saturn in religious practices is thus subtle yet profound, weaving through the fabric of various belief systems and shaping their rituals and symbols. The black cube has also appeared in other contexts, such as in the worship of Baal and Moloch, ancient deities associated with Saturn. In these rituals, the black cube symbolizes the material world, the constraints of physical existence, and the inevitable decay that comes with time. It serves as a reminder of the limitations imposed by the physical realm and the need to transcend these boundaries to achieve spiritual liberation. The darker side of Saturn, Saturn's association with death and decay, is not merely symbolic. It has been central to some of the most macabre and controversial practices in human history. The worship of Saturn has often been linked to rituals of sacrifice particularly human sacrifice, as a way to appease the god and ensure the continuation of the cosmic order. These practices, though abhorrent by modern standards, were seen by ancient civilizations as necessary to maintain the balance of the universe. In ancient Carthage, the worship of the god Baal, identified with Saturn, involved the sacrifice of infants to ensure the prosperity of the city. These children were offered in a gruesome ritual known as the Moloch sacrifice, where they were burned alive in large, hollow statues of the god. The belief was that these sacrifices would bring favor from the gods, ensuring good harvests, fertility, and protection from enemies.
Okay, why would the god want that? Oh, you're burning your children. That's great. Okay, I will bless you. That makes no sense.
This dark aspect of Saturn worship highlights the god's dual nature as both a bringer of life and a harbinger of death. The theme of sacrifice is also present in the myth of Kronos, who devoured his own children to prevent them from overthrowing him. This act of cannibalism is a metaphor for the relentless march of time, which consumes everything in its path. The myth also serves as a warning of the dangers of absolute power and the inevitable consequences of trying to cheat time or fate. Saturn's role as a symbol of control extends beyond these ancient rituals into modern times. In various secret societies and occult traditions, Saturn is seen as the ruler of the material world, the force that governs the physical and temporal realms. This control is not just over time, but over the structures of society, the limitations imposed by physical reality, and the boundaries of human existence. Some conspiracy theories suggest that the elite, those who hold power in modern society, are followers of Saturnian principles, using the symbolism of the black cube and other Saturn-related imagery to assert their control over the masses.
It's not that, they use astrology. Like JP Morgan said that. He said millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do. Like they know the prenatal charts and the, Saturn rising in Capricorn and all that stuff.
These theories propose that the pervasive presence of Saturn's symbols in corporate logos, government buildings, and popular culture is evidence of a hidden agenda, one that seeks to maintain control over humanity by keeping it bound to the material world. While these theories are often dismissed as mere speculation, they reflect a deep-seated fear of the power that Saturn represents, the power of time, decay, and death. Whether or not these theories hold any truth, they serve as a reminder of Saturn's enduring influence on the human psyche and its role as a symbol of the darker aspects of existence. Conclusion. As we conclude this exploration of the cult of Saturn, it is clear that this ancient belief system has left a lasting legacy. From the myths of Kronos to the rituals of Saturnalia, from the hexagon on Saturn's pole to the black cube in religious and esoteric traditions, the symbols of Saturn continue to influence our world in profound ways.
Well, I think I'm going to end that video there because he's not really going to say anything. But I'm going to do a lot more of these type of videos because I'm very curious about this topic. And yeah. I think it's one of those things where you have to kind of pick the pieces up from a bunch of different sources and kind of just put them together. I don't think anyone's going to outright say it, but this is a very interesting topic. So yeah, I'm definitely going to do a lot more of these type of videos in the future. Leave a comment, drop a like, subscribe if you want to. I'm out. Peace.